What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Thursday, October 24th, 2024, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 14:09 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we currently have U.S. nuclear forces transmitting high priority nuclear codes over high frequency radio, and we were listening to it earlier this afternoon on the 24/7 live stream that I have going right now. There's 1,000 people in the live stream right now listening to these nuclear codes being transmitted since yesterday morning. Yesterday we had over 60 of these codes transmitted by U.S. nuclear forces. They're also known as emergency action messages. These are basically nuclear attack options and targeting information for our ballistic missile subs, our bombers, and our silos. And typically, on an average day, you don't hear more than 10 or 20 of these. Yesterday, we heard 60. And then late last night, just after midnight, we started hearing back-to-back codes being transmitted, and they were extremely long, which is also very unusual. The normal length for these codes is about 30 characters. They were transmitting 115 character messages or codes back-to-back right after midnight. And then this morning, they started transmitting the Skymaster messages, which are high priority nuclear attack options. Okay, these are the highest priority nuclear codes right before the actual launch codes are sent out. Okay, so the launch codes are the highest priority. These are right below the launch codes. Okay, so something big is about to go down. I do have some audio recordings that I want to play for you of these high priority nuclear codes, the Skymaster messages. The last time we saw this kind of activity was back in April when Iran first attacked Israel. And we had the famous culinary night, which if you didn't see that, if you weren't there for culinary night, check out the link in the description below this video. I do have culinary night uploaded to my Rumble page. YouTube actually deleted that stream. They said it was misinformation. But on culinary night, when we were waiting for Israel to launch their first retaliation against Iran, we heard these Skymaster messages all night long for like 8 hours straight, nonstop. And we also heard what sounded to be like nuclear bomber arming codes that were being sent out. And we could even hear in the background when these codes were being sent out, the bomb bay doors opening up. We could hear the klaxon alarms in the background when the bombers were communicating and authenticating the arming codes for these air-launched cruise missiles that they use. And they have to read the authentication code back to the station that is requesting them to basically arm these missiles. They have to read the authentication codes between each other, and you could hear when the bomber pilots were reading the codes back, the klaxon alarms that were going off inside of the bomber. That was in April, so this is the most intense past 24 to 36 hours since then. And then before that, we had Prigozhin's march, okay, when Prigozhin of Russia, the Wagner group, led that rebellion. We also had similar activity as this, but this is insane, guys. I have not seen anything like this, actually. Okay, for the last 36 hours, it's basically been non-stop nuclear codes being transmitted, and we also currently have 5 B-52 nuclear bombers airborne over the continental United States, which is extremely unusual. Okay, typically you'll see 1 or maybe 2. Here we have 5 this afternoon. In addition to that, we have 4 nuclear war command and control planes in the air right now. These are the Boeing E-6B Mercury planes. They took over the role of the old school looking glass planes. And what these planes do is communicate with our submerged nuclear armed submarines. That's their primary mission. Their secondary mission is to function as an airborne launch control system so they can launch the silo-based missiles from the air if something were to happen. If, let's say, our enemies were to take out our launch control centers, or let's say there was some kind of dissension and the officers in the silos didn't want to launch the nukes for whatever reason, for personal reasons or whatever, they didn't want to feel responsible for launching nukes and causing nuclear war, whatever the case may be, they get cold feet, they don't want to launch, they can override from the air with these planes. So 4 of these planes in the air right now. This is a lot, okay? Typically you have 1 if it's like a peacetime situation, nothing's really going on. You usually have 1, possibly 2. When things are active, you usually have 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? So this is extremely concerning. And let me just play a clip for you of one of these Skymaster messages.
Skymaster, this is AGOG 363 on frequency 8992.
So his call sign was AGOG 363 and he was addressing Skymaster. Now there is some confusion out there. People are trying to split hairs and say this was not a true Skymaster message because Skymaster himself was not directing messages, but that is actually false, okay? Skymaster is not actually a call sign, okay? Skymaster is just this entity that other stations will address, but Skymaster himself never actually speaks, okay? So this is a true Skymaster message. This is real. This is not fake. Also, this is not a training exercise. There were people in the 24/7 stream trying to say that this was part of some kind of training exercise. Listen, guys, first of all, they don't do training exercises on primary nuclear war frequencies. They never do that. Okay, it would be like your local police doing an exercise on 911. They can't do that because if something were to actually happen, they have to keep those primary frequencies open, okay, for communication. And same thing like your local police. If somebody has a heart attack and they have to rush somebody to the hospital, seconds matter, right? And if your local deputies are dicking around on the 911 frequency, okay, that could be a problem, right? So they don't do exercises on primary nuclear war frequencies. Also, there's a solar storm going on since 2 days ago, okay? If they were really doing an exercise, why would they do this during a solar storm which impacts high-frequency communication? They would just delay the exercise, okay? It's just like if you have a baseball game and the morning that you're getting ready to start your game, it starts pouring rain and the whole field is muddy. Are you going to continue with the game? No, you're just going to postpone it, okay? So same thing with this. They're not going to do an exercise on primary frequencies and during a solar storm, okay? So here we have these Skymaster messages. Let me play this for you.
Skymaster, this is AGOG 363 on frequency 8992. Message of 14 group follows. Stand by. Message follows. Whiskey, Bravo, Uniform, Mike, Oscar, Alpha, Lima, Juliet, X-Ray, Juliet, Charlie.
And it just keeps going on, and he rereads those 14 characters over and over. But the beginning part is the most important, where he addresses Skymaster. And once again, Skymaster is not an actual call sign. It's a fictional entity that they address, but you'll never actually hear, "This is Skymaster," etc., okay? Skymaster is just a fictional call sign that they address, but Skymaster himself never actually speaks, if that makes sense, okay?
Skymaster, this is AGOG 363 on frequency 8992. Kilo, Zulu, Kilo, Romeo, Lima, Foxtrot. This completes message of 14 groups. This is AGOG 363 out.
Another thing, too, is that today we had over 44 emergency action messages so far today. 44 today, 61 yesterday, including the Sky Masters and the very long messages.
Message of 12 groups
Here's another one.
follows. Stand by. Skymaster. Skymaster. This is AGOG 363 on frequency 8992. Message of 12 groups follows. Stand by. Message follows. Whiskey. Bravo. Uniform. Mike. Oscar. Alpha. Juliet. Lima. Zulu. Juliet. Charlie. Victor. Bravo. Kilo.
So these are just coded messages, okay? People also ask, well, if this is part of the nuclear forces, why aren't they encrypted? And the reason why is you cannot encrypt high frequency when you're trying to transmit globally, okay? There's no technology to scramble a frequency that has to be available globally, okay? So these are encrypted in themselves because they're alphanumeric messages. Nobody knows what they mean except the people in the nuclear armed subs, in the silos, and in the bombers, okay? And this update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply has brought back their discount on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the deal, you got to go to preparewithNYPrepper.com. The link is in the description below this video. But they have 3 months of freeze-dried food with a 25-year shelf life packed into rugged, watertight buckets that you can easily store in a small room for just $700 with free shipping included, and they ship very fast. Also, they're including some freebies. They're going to include a survival Bible, a 424-page survival book, an ultimate preparedness checklist, a natural disaster field guide. They also have a disaster replacement warranty, so if your food gets destroyed in a natural disaster, they will replace it for you with no cost. And also they have a 30-day return policy, no questions asked. So check out My Patriot Supply. Use the link preparewithNYPrepper.com to get 25% off of their 3-month emergency food supply, free shipping included, and the link is in the description below this video. And Israel has delayed its response against Iran following the U.S. intelligence leak, according to the Times. The leak of the American documents delayed the attack due to the need to change certain strategies and components. An intelligence source with knowledge of Israeli deliberations told the Times there will be a retaliation, but it has taken longer than it was supposed to take, the source said. So if you remember, okay, they were talking in this report that Israel was preparing air-launched ballistic missiles to hit Iran with their F-15s, and last night in the stream, I went over all of the nuclear sites that Israel could target. I went over some of the major ballistic missile facilities that they could hit, and they're going to need a lot of firepower, guys. This is not going to be like anything you've seen in your life. This is going to be bigger than shock and awe, okay? They're going to have to hit 5 hardened nuclear sites: Fordow, Natanz, Parchin, Arak, and Isfahan, okay? 5 hardened nuclear sites, which they might use the B-2s with the massive ordnance penetrators for that. Then you have several ballistic missile facilities that each have hundreds of ballistic missile storage bunkers and tunnels that go into mountains. They're also going to need massive firepower to destroy each one of those bunkers, okay? So this is going to be a massive strike, and this could be why Israel was requesting thousands of heavy bombs from the Biden administration. If you remember, the Biden administration was dangling all those bombs like a carrot to Netanyahu and saying, listen, you have to make peace in Gaza, you have to capitulate, or we're not going to give you these weapons. But it looks like they ended up getting those weapons, and that's what they're going to use to attack Iran, because to destroy all of these missile bunkers, okay, each one is protected by several feet of reinforced concrete underneath several feet of earth, okay? So they're going to need heavy bombs and ballistic missiles. And so in this leaked intelligence report, the U.S. Geospatial Intelligence Agency had pictures of Israel preparing air-launched ballistic missiles, which is exactly what you would need to take out hardened facilities, okay? Also, Israeli Channel 13 is reporting that coordination with the U.S. regarding the response to Iran has been completed with Secretary of State Anthony Blinken's visit to Israel 2 days ago, okay? So coordination with the U.S. has already been completed. And the Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said today, our operation in Iran has the potential to ripple across borders, impacting other nations along the way. Okay, so guys, be patient. The fireworks are coming, as you can see with all these nuclear codes, high priority nuclear codes. A massive strike like this takes a lot of planning, a lot of coordination. Everything has to be done right. They need good intelligence. They need to have everything in position. Okay, you can't just rush something like this. It has to be planned out very, very well with a lot of details. Okay, so that takes time. And an Iranian opposition organization reported earlier today that there was a fire at a nuclear power plant in Iran in the city of Karaj. There was also a video and some pictures that were posted, which were scrubbed from Twitter. So I don't know if Twitter is siding with Iran or what, okay, but seems like they wanted to censor that on Twitter for some reason. I don't know if it was fake news, but an Iranian opposition organization reported and posted videos and pictures of some kind of fire at a nuclear power plant somewhere near the city of Karaj in Iran. And Khan News of Israel is reporting that plans to strike Iran have been approved by the Chief of Staff and the Defense Minister of Israel and are now just a matter of a political decision by Netanyahu to proceed. And Syria blamed Israel for a massive airstrike in Damascus last night. There were reports of casualties. We don't know any details of what was hit in Damascus, but a massive strike. I can't show you the footage, unfortunately, due to YouTube guidelines. And the Turkish Air Force carried out attacks on Kurdish targets in northern Syria and Iraq last night, causing a massive oil depot to catch fire. And U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin voiced concerns over Israeli strikes in the suburbs of Beirut in a phone conversation with Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, according to Israeli Channel 12. And Biden said that Iran has violated international law by possessing enriched uranium. Okay, so you see now even Biden is going along with this strike on Iran. And they're going to do it right before the election, guys. This is the perfect time. Think about it. Okay, Israel and the U.S. and Britain and France and other allies, they launch a massive strike on Iran, decapitation strike to take out the leadership, regime change, denuclearization, okay, demilitarization, right before the election. You think Iran is not going to do anything in response? I hope and pray that they don't. Okay, but maybe Biden is hoping for that. Maybe Biden wants an escalation so they can delay the election, okay? And Iran gained a license from Russia to start producing Sukhoi 35 and Sukhoi 30 fighter jets. And Romanian radars detected 2 drones in their airspace, according to Reuters, and dispatched F-16s to investigate. Apparently, the F-16s could not find the drones. The incidents occurred over the Konstanz and Tulsk counties bordering Ukraine. This is the 3rd such violation in a week. So Russia's continuing to test NATO, okay, sending 2 drones into Romania. Romania dispatched F-16s. Remember, like a month or two ago, when Russia sent a drone into Latvia and it went 50 miles into Latvia. Where's the mainstream media? They're not talking about this, okay? Russia is continuing to poke and prod at NATO to see what we're made of, okay? Are we tough or are we pussies? I'm sorry to use the word, okay? But it's just like in school, okay? When the bully is testing you, okay, they want to see what you're made of, right? And that's exactly what Russia's doing, and they're calculating that NATO is weak right now. And multiple explosions were heard in Crimea last night. Multiple loud explosions were heard around the city of Sevastopol, the Baydar Valley, and near Belbek Military Airfield around 1:45 a.m. local time on October 24th, the Telegram channel Crimean Wind reported. So some kind of Ukrainian strike on Sevastopol and Crimea. And Taiwan's defense minister said yesterday that a Chinese blockade around Taiwan would constitute an act of aggression as defined by the UN, and Taiwan's military would respond with anti-blockade measures and wartime deployments. Wow. So Taiwan's defense minister confirming that they would deploy their military to break up a Chinese blockade, which would defy international law. Okay, so very serious. We know that China has already done 2 snap exercises off the coast of Taiwan. Okay, last week they did this snap exercise where they practiced a massive blockade of Taiwan. Over 130 Chinese military warplanes were flying around Taiwan during this exercise. And then on the 22nd, just 2 days ago, they did a live fire drill right off the coast of Taiwan. Okay, so this is extremely serious. And also, the president of China, Xi Jinping, told his nuclear forces to get ready for war. Okay, and a North Korean balloon filled with propaganda leaflets landed this morning within the presidential compound in the South Korean capital of Seoul. Wow, so North Korea sending another batch of balloons towards South Korea and some of them landing in the presidential compound. That is absolutely insane. And North Korea began installing unidentified structures on disconnected inter-Korean roads. So if you remember, North Korea blew up these roads and railroads that were connecting North and South Korea like last week. Now they're installing unidentified structures. My guess is they're installing some bunkers, some fortified fighting positions. And the Russian parliament unanimously voted in favor of ratifying the Mutual Defense Treaty with North Korea. Okay, a mutual defense treaty. What does that mean? That means if North Korea launches artillery into South Korea, which they've already put their long-range artillery on high alert, they have 700 pieces of long-range artillery, all of which are aimed at Seoul, the capital of South Korea, which has millions of people, okay? If they launch that artillery at South Korea, then South Korea responds in kind, and then a war breaks out, okay? And then the U.S. will back up South Korea because we have a treaty with South Korea. Then Russia would come in and back up North Korea. So now you're talking about Russia and the U.S. fighting in the Korean Peninsula, okay? So you see where this is going, guys? You see the escalation on all of these fronts. You need to get prepared. Make sure you have a fallout shelter. Make sure you know how to survive nuclear war. It sounds crazy, but it could happen very soon and definitely in our lifetime, okay? Check out my nuclear war survival playlist. I've done an entire series on how to survive nuclear war where I go in detail of what you need and what you need to know and the principles of radiation and everything, okay? It's not that complicated. So educate yourself, okay? Knowledge is power. Also have a bug out bag. Practice with your gear. And a large fire broke out at a U.S. Forces Korea storage facility in the port city of Busan in South Korea. So potentially some kind of sabotage there. And according to Representative Mike Turner, chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, the U.S. should consider direct military action in Ukraine if North Korean troops invade. And he wrote this in an official statement yesterday to Biden. And the U.S. and the G7 countries are advancing a $50 billion loan package for Ukraine. Absolutely massive. And 4 Ukrainian prisoners of war were executed by Russian forces near the Ukrainian village of Selyadov, according to Ukraine's prosecutor general. So Russia committing more war crimes. And the Middle East is on the brink of a full-scale war, according to Russian President Vladimir Putin. He said this earlier today in the BRICS meeting. He highlighted the escalating confrontation between Iran and Israel as a major factor driving the region towards a dangerous threshold. And also, Putin proposed a plan to create a BRICS-based grain exchange. And Chinese President Xi Jinping said at the BRICS meeting that China will undoubtedly continue to develop friendly relations with Iran. And Finland announced that it's permanently closing 2 border checkpoints with Russia in Parikkala and Inari. The Finnish authorities say they were forced to do it after Russia started sending illegal migrants from Africa and the Middle East on bicycles towards the Finnish border. And that's exactly the same thing they've been doing to Poland. And in Poland, the parliament over there approved a law that allows the Polish soldiers and Polish police to use lethal force to stop illegal migrants from crossing over their border. Okay, Poland also just recently closed down a Russian consulate in the city of Poznań in western Poland, and they declared numerous Russian diplomats persona non grata. Poland is also doing massive exercises right on the border of Belarus. Okay, Poland is investing $1 billion to build this massive defense line along their border with Russia and Belarus. That's going to include minefields, anti-tank trenches, bunkers, anti-tank obstacles, all kinds of things, okay? And also I heard from the famous inventor Lee Wheelbarger that Russia has been shipping troops to the city of Grodno in Belarus, which is right in the Suwalki Gap, and they've been using tractor trailers to disguise the movement of the troops. Apparently, according to recent satellite imagery obtained by inventor Lee Wheelbarger, there's hundreds of tractor trailers on the border of Poland and Lithuania on the Belarusian side, which is very unusual. Want to just show you guys some more flight paths. So here we have a U.S. Navy sub-hunter plane that was patrolling the coast of Cyprus. And we also had more high-priority reconnaissance around Poland and Lithuania. Here you can see an RC-135 combat scent circling Kaliningrad, flying through the Suwalki Gap. Also at the same time, there was a Polish AWACS plane flying in northeast Poland, right near the area where Lee Wheelbarger said that there were hundreds of these tractor trailers near the city of Grodno. Okay, so something is brewing here, guys, okay? These high-priority reconnaissance planes have been flying around Kaliningrad in northern Poland and Lithuania for the last 2 months, almost every night. The U.S. only has 2 of these planes in the entire Air Force, and they send intelligence directly to the President and the Joint Chiefs, okay? So they don't fly these for no reason, guys, okay? And then there was another reconnaissance plane, not a high priority one, but nevertheless a reconnaissance plane that flew into Finland and patrolled the border of Russia here near St. Petersburg. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I recommend you tune into my 24/7 live stream. It's live right now. I have these nuclear codes playing in the background. I have my own radio station with a 400-foot antenna at my compound here, and in addition to that, I have other radio stations that I use to monitor these codes. So check it out. I might be back later on with another update. If not, I'll be in the 24/7 stream later on, probably around 10 or 11 p.m. Eastern time. to give you guys an update, but it looks like something could be popping off in the Middle East any hour now. Could be tonight, could be tomorrow. I would not be surprised if it's tonight or tomorrow, at the latest this weekend. Okay, so get prepared. Things are going to get crazy once Israel and the U.S. and allies strike Iran. Iran could strike back, and it could go back and forth and turn into a war. Russia could get involved, etc., etc. So until the next time, take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.